Good morning. And happy Mother's Day. I'm Joan Doyle, and I serve on the board of the DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. I welcome everyone to our service this morning and welcome visitors to our open and inclusive community of faith. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many spiritual paths to truth and meaning, and we support one another as we each explore these paths. I would like to especially welcome our guests and welcome again those who have visited us before. Visitors, it is the custom of our congregation to invite you to stand and give your name and where you're from, if you feel comfortable in doing so. Are there any visitors who would like to introduce themselves? Welcome. Okay. Welcome to everyone visiting today. Please join us after the service for coffee hour, which is kind of an expanded treat today. We'd love to have a chance to get to know you better. Our minister, Reverend Tom Capo, our congregational life coordinator, Mary Law, and all of our members are eager to meet you. Our service can be heard outside the glass doors at the back of the sanctuary, should anyone feel the need to leave the service for any reason. There are chairs provided for your convenience. Just two quick announcements. If you haven't turned in your pledge yet for next year, please do so soon. And the congregational survey that was emailed out, we have hard copies in the office. We'd like to, I think the deadline is today, so stop down and get a hard copy and fill it out if you didn't get it via email, or send it back in. Okay, as we begin the service, please silence all electronic devices. Thank you.
Today we light this the chalice for blessing of community.
morning. Welcome to all of you and those of us watching us on YouTube live stream this morning. I'm Reverend Tom Capo, minister here at DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. First, I want to thank all those people who participated in, who played music, who sang music last night. The rock and roll concert was amazing. Woo! And we raised $1,538 for the Smile Project. I was just so impressed. You all were so generous. Well, today we're going to do a flower communion. The flower communion is an annual ritual that celebrates beauty, human uniqueness, diversity, and community. It was originally created in 1923 by Unitarian minister Norbert Čapek of Prague, Czechoslovakia. The flower communion was brought to the United States by his wife, Reverend Maya Čapek. And while this is a wonderful and a beautiful ceremony, I need to say, because I have a mother, that it is Mother's Day and we need to honor our mothers. And so the choir offered two pieces today, and they're both beautiful. The first one was these beautiful lullabies. And you know, I think of lullabies when I think of my mother, and I think maybe some of you have had lullabies sung to you by mothers or by people who stood in for mothers, and it's just such an important part of being connected to children. So I want to do something today, too, to offer a blessing to mothers, a prayer for mothers, and whether they're biological mothers or those that mothered you in your lifetime. So I'm going to offer some words to open up our service today to honor mothers. There can be no singled out day in a calendar dedicated to just one thing. For all our lives, we are engaged in a multitude of thoughts and acts of living. Living with all its blessings and all its challenges. And yet today, spurred by the longings of our hearts, we pause to reflect on mothers and on mothering. To reflect on the persons whose lives nurtured our lives. Who are the ones who mother? Well, certainly there are the biological mothers, the woman who gave birth to you, who fed you and played with you and listened to your troubles and helped you with her love. Or not. Mothers are one who give us life, but not just physical life. They are the good persons of any gender who are with us. With their gentleness, with their strength, they hold us up when we're sinking. Mothers take pride in our success. They call us to do our best and to be our best. And they see beyond who we are now to who we might become, to be. Mothers are the ones who celebrate our growth, who help us figure out when we went down the wrong trail and help us when we fail. Mothers are the ones whose tenderness give us courage, the ones whose examples and mentoring helps us take risk, the ones who show us how to laugh and cry and who listen to us as we do. Mothers are the ones who teach us the ways of compassion. So I invite you now for a moment to bring to mind, to heart, your thoughts about someone who has mothered you. And hold that. Mother's Day is to celebrate and be grateful for the people who have mothered us. But for many of us, it brings mixed feelings as well. And so I want to honor those feelings too. Let us stretch our hearts not only to celebrate Mother's Day, but to feel the sympathy and love of mothering for others, particularly those on this world who need someone to care for them, to respond to our fragile, challenging, lovely world with beauty and strength, for us to reach out to that world and to all around us with loving hearts and hands. So may it be.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our mission statement and our first hymn. Please join me in saying our mission statement. We gather as an inclusive community to grow in character, mind, and spirit, and to transform the world toward fairness, love, and compassion. Let us remain standing and join together and sing hymn number 1051 in the teal hymnal. We are. The words will be projected.
Would those young or young at heart please bring the flowers forward? So if y'all will help, Steve's in the back and he'll help you. Bring all those vases of flowers, and we're going to put them right over here around the chalice. They need all the help they can get back there, so it's all good. Thank you. Put right there. All righty. Oops. There we go. We have a lot of flowers. Right? Okay, put them right there. There we go. Yeah, put them on the second step. Put them on. Here we go. There we are. We got lots of space. There we go. Put it over here, right there. That's good. Perfect. That's right. Oh, I forgot. You all can stay up here. Come here. That's all right. It's all right.
It's harder to read to them when they're
Okay.
talking to the rest of them.
Well,
All right. So once upon a time, there was a field, and it had dry grass, brambles, and thistles, and high places and low places, and rocks scattered around, and a stream that passed alongside. And scattered around, here and there, and everywhere, were flowers. Buttercups and tulips, coneflowers and lupins, all kinds of bright, beautiful flowers growing up out of the dry grass. Now you might ask, how could these flowers grow when the field was so dry? The answer is that next to each flower was a hole in the ground. And in each hole lived an animal whose job it was to tend that flower. And most were rabbits, but there were hedgehogs and field mice and even a badger or two. Every morning, listen, it's simple. Each morning, each animal would come out of its hole, hop or scurry down to the stream, and use a leaf to scoop up some water. And then they would each carry their leaf back and water their flower. In a little gully in this field, next to a tall sunflower, lived a rabbit. And every day she would go down to the stream and get some water for her sunflower. And she loved that flower. It was tall and bright, strong and healthy, and she took very good care of it. One afternoon, the rabbit decided to hop up to the top of a little hill alongside her gully. And when she got to the top, she saw something she'd never seen before. Down a ways, she saw a flower. It might have been a daisy, but it was hard to tell because the flower was in such bad shape. Now, why had she never seen that flower before? It's not that big of a mystery. She had just never climbed that particular little hill to look in that direction. And of course, she knew the field was full of flowers, and she may have heard some were not doing quite as well as her sunflower, but she'd never actually seen one that looked as bad as this one. So she hopped down the hill to take a closer look, and then she began to understand. The flower needed water. Its stem was bent, its petals were wilting in the heat, and the ground around it was parched and dry. The rabbit felt bad that a flower could be so neglected. And then she did nothing. Even though the flower looked terrible, it was just one flower in a field, after all. The field had plenty of other flowers that were doing fine. And the rabbit had enough work to do, watering her own flower. So she went home and got on with her business, getting up every morning, going to the stream, watering her sunflower, and hopping around all afternoon. But the other flower didn't go away. At least once a day, the rabbit couldn't help but hop up to the top of the hill and take a quick look. And every day, that other flower looked a little worse. It started to get to her. The rabbit thought about that flower at night while she was trying to sleep. She thought about it in the morning when she hopped to the stream for water. She couldn't even enjoy her own flower so much, knowing the other flower was wilting more and more every day. Now you may wonder, why didn't that rabbit just go over and water the flower? After all, it was not far away, just on the other side of the hill, and the stream had plenty of water, and the rabbit had plenty of time. Well, That's a good question. The rabbit thought about it all the time. She'd think about making an extra trip to the stream to get some water for that flower, but then she'd think, well, you don't just march into someone's front yard and water their flower without asking, do you? What if that flower is someone else's to water? They might yell at me or something. Or she'd think, what if the flower likes being dried up and droopy? That's possible, isn't it? Or she'd think, aren't there other animals who are supposed to go around and help out flowers that aren't getting enough water? I should leave it for them to do, right? With all these questions swirling in her head, the rabbit went about her business, taking care of her sunflower every day and trying not to think about the other flower. But it kept bothering her, especially at night. It was kind of irritating, actually. Sometimes she wished the flower would just get better by itself or die. But every time she sneaked a peek, there it was, looking more dry, more wilted, and more droopy. Finally, the rabbit could take it no longer. One morning, hopping from the stream with a full leaf of water for her sunflower, she suddenly thought, it's just not right. Flowers are not supposed to wilt like that. Flowers should be healthy and colorful and bright and beautiful. And she found herself hopping over the hill toward the other flower, taking the water there instead. At the top of the hill, the rabbit got a bit nervous. Her nose twitched as she sniffed the air. It might be dangerous over there. She shouldn't be watering someone else's flower. But then she said, it's just not right, and kept going on over the hill, down to the other side. And the rabbit hopped close to the dry flower, closer than she had been before. Suddenly, a hedgehog suddenly popped out of the hole in the ground, and the hedgehog yelled, "Hey, what are you doing?" "I'm going to water this flower," the rabbit said. "It's too dry, and if I don't water it, it will die." And the hedgehog said, "What business is it of yours whether this flower dies? This is my flower. I'll take care of it how I want. Go home and take care of your own flower." But the rabbit answered, "I'm sorry, but I tried that. Flowers are supposed to be bright and beautiful, not wilting and droopy. So I'm going to water this flower." And she watered that dry, wilted, drooping daisy right in front of the hedgehog, though he fussed and mumbled and gave her mean looks. And she turned around and hopped back over the hill. The next day, she came back with a full leaf of water and watered it again. And the day after that, and after that, she watered it again. The hedgehog continued to fuss and mumble and give the rabbit mean looks, but the flower started to look better. First, the petals perked up, and the stem began to stand a little straighter. Then its leaves started to fill out and get bigger. The flower even grew a little taller. Strangely enough, as this flower got brighter and healthier and taller and more beautiful, so did the rabbit's own flower. And so did every other flower, all the flowers in the field, even the ones she's never watered, flowers she'd never even noticed before. The whole field began to brighten as the colors of every flower became more vivid and the flowers stretched taller. It was almost as if there were more water everywhere.
Okay, guys. You go sit down with your folks, okay? Okay. So the choir is going to sing another song in honor of Mother's Day. Bobby Zonda. Zonda? You heard her, right? No. It's a traditional Zulu song from South Africa. Also, women sing the song at the beginning of gatherings or celebrations as an invocation to the spirits of the matriarchal ancestors. It is translated, "We are this because of prayer. Our mothers taught us prayer." I always have to follow the choir. Not every Unitarian Universalist congregation chooses to celebrate the flower communion, but this one does. Unlike many other religions, Unitarian Universalism doesn't have any special holy days that we celebrate as a denomination. We have what's called congregational polity. That means that each church gets to choose how they run the church and what they celebrate. So we've chosen as a congregation to celebrate services like the flower communion or the fire communion or the water communion. And we have services like the Yom Kippur service, the solstice services, and the Christmas Eve services. These rituals and services mean something to the people here at this church. So I ask you for a moment to step back from these rituals we've chosen and focus today on this flower communion. What does it mean to you? Why is it important to you that we do this flower communion ritual? Well, I'm going to tell you why it's important to me, but I ask you to think about it for yourself as well. See, this flower communion reminds me of how we are each special, unique individuals. We each bring our own gifts and talents to this church, and we use our gifts and talents at this church to enrich this community. You remember the coming of age service we had a couple of weeks ago? It was fabulous. Adult mentors had worked with the junior high kids for a whole year, helping them create this credo statement. And at the end of that year, we heard the kids sing and write a poem or otherwise tell us about their spiritual and ethical beliefs. And after the service, many of you came up to me either in person or wrote. We have a little section now in the order of service where you can write about what touches you in the service. And they wrote about how this service was so meaningful to them, that it meant something. It was important because it enriched the whole community. You see, that's what we do here, each in our own way. You know, we enrich each other. Yes, we serve on community committees and task forces, and we're in leadership roles, and those things are important. But what also is important, if not more important, is the genuine love and respect we have for each other. We don't come here because we have to. There's no guilt involved. We come here together because we want to. Because when we're with each other, we support one another, and we feel good together. Remember the ending of the story that Steve just read? I'm going to read it back to you again. Strangely enough, as this flower got brighter and healthier and taller and more beautiful, so did the rabbit's own flower. And so did every other flower. All the flowers in the field, even the ones that were never watered. Flowers she had never noticed before. The whole field began to brighten as colors of every flower became more vivid and the flowers grew taller. It was almost as if there was more water everywhere. Did you think, as I did, how could that be? Were there rabbits and hedgehogs running around, sneaking around, watering all these flowers so that all of them grew? Or was it because that when someone waters a wilting flower somewhere, all flowers everywhere grow a little brighter? Well, I believe both things are true. Both things are true in the story, and both things are true in this church. I know that there are people here who work a lot in front of the scenes and behind the scenes, watering all the flowers that need attention in this church. And I think because everyone pitches in with their best selves, all the flowers here grow a little brighter. The loving spirit that we share with one another is what's most important as we do the work of the church. Whether we're teaching the youth so that they learn more about themselves and about Unitarian Universalism, about living an ethical life, or doing audiovisual work upstairs that we never see, but keeps the microphones on so you can hear me and keeps these images coming up when they're supposed to. Or providing music, like the musicians and choir who practice and practice so that they can perform here on Sunday mornings. Or managing the budget, or all the other work that the church board does to keep this church functioning, to keep the lights on and the staff paid and the programs supported. It's not just the work. It's the loving spirit that gives the work wings. The loving spirit is what lights the spark within each of us, the chalice in our hearts. You know, Dave Jelliff was here at the last service, and when I said his name, he kind of looked up like, oh my gosh. He's the president of our congregation, board of trustees, and he set out the agenda for this Tuesday's board meeting. But you know what he did also is he attached a quote to that agenda. It was from The World According to Mr. Rogers. And it goes like this. As human beings, our job in life is to help people realize how rare and valuable each one of us really is. That each of us has something no one else has or ever will have. Something inside that is unique in all of time. And it's our job to encourage each other to discover what that uniqueness is and to provide a way of developing its expression. So think about it for a moment. Why would our president, you put this board meeting agenda together, attach this quote? This quote encouraging the people that come to this meeting to express their own uniqueness, to find their own uniqueness. Because that's what we do here. We remind each other to be our best selves and to share our best selves with one another. And that helps this church to become a wonderful place, a place we want to come to be part of. And so that anybody who comes into this church, a visitor or a friend or member, comes here and feels it, feels the love that is shared, feels the people growing and being better together. The whole field, our church, grows brighter and healthier and more beautiful, not only because of what we each do here, but how we do it together. When we share our best selves with one another and encourage each other to be our best selves, however that might look for each of us, we're all enriched. Our church is enriched, and the work that we do beyond this church is enriched. My friends, we are like a bouquet of flowers here. Maybe you are a rose, maybe you're a dandelion or a sunflower or an iris. Maybe you're the only flower of your kind and you think no one else will ever notice you or notice if you're not there, since there are so many different flowers in these bunches. But my friends, we would notice, because you are special and unique and add something to our beautiful bouquet that wouldn't be there if you weren't with us. So namaste, my friends. Namaste. And now we're going to bless the flowers. We're going to use some of the words that Reverend Dr. Chapek used when he blessed the flowers all those many years ago. The word blessing is challenging for some, maybe difficult to put together for others. So I want to give us a definition for a blessing, since that's what we'll be trying to do. A blessing is when we say something nice or special about an object or person, or we do something nice or special for someone. And blessings, I believe blessings are important and good and full of meaning when they're given and when they're received. So, my friends, we are going to bless these flowers before we distribute them this morning for our ritual. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask your blessing on these messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts to be one in desire and affection and devotion to the sacredness of life. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as a most precious gift. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship. May we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do the work that is vital in this world. May the blessings of those gathered here be on these beautiful flowers and on the members and friends of this congregation, whose diversity and unity keep this church a beacon of love and hope, thriving here in DuPage County. And so may it always be. And now we're moving into our flower communion. As no two flowers are alike, so no two people are alike. Each flower contributes its own unique scent and color to the larger bouquet, and thus has a certain special contribution to its overall beauty. The flowers, joined together as they are on my left here, form a spectacular splash of color and scent that transform our room here. So too, each person sitting here is unique and colorful and contributes to our whole bouquet. Our whole bouquet, our congregation. Our common bouquet would not be the same without the addition of each individual flower. And so it is with each Unitarian Universalist congregation. This morning you'll be asked to exchange flowers. We show that by doing so, we show that we are willing to walk together in a search for truth, in nurturance of one another, and in rejection of injustice and inequality, setting aside attitudes and actions that divide rather than unite us. Each person will take home a flower today, given to them by our children and those young at heart who will bring them to you in your chairs. We offer this flower communion annually as a community because it reminds us that religion is not something we can do alone. And those of you who are here who've never been to this service before, and whether you brought a flower or not, you're invited to take part in this flower communion. Take a flower as a symbol that beauty and grace and joy and love are not matters of reciprocity. In this world, we cannot earn or deserve that which is most important. It comes to us as a gift. Therefore, knowing how to receive is as fully important as knowing how to give. May the flower that you receive this morning remind you of the many blessings of sharing this community. And now, the children were ready to bring you flowers, just to let you know. a blessing to our community. Namaste.
Today's loose plate collection will be given to the DuPage National Alliance on Mental Illness of DuPage County, or NAMI. If you wish to write a check to NAMI DuPage, please write the check to DUUC with NAMI DuPage in the memo line. Sarah Bliss will now come up to tell us about this organization.
Good morning. My name is Sarah, and I volunteer with NAMI DuPage, where I speak about mental health in high schools as well as in the community. I am diagnosed myself with bipolar disorder, and mental illness is prevalent in my family. I live a very fulfilling life as a mom and a student, and I also work with children who are on the autism spectrum. Before my recovery, I dealt with extreme depression, which I didn't know how to deal with. I was often agitated with loved ones, and I did not know how to ask for help. Accepting my mental illness and engaging in treatment has allowed me to live my life to the fullest. NAMI DuPage has impacted my recovery by allowing me to be around other people who are like me, and to use my voice to connect with others and to let them know that they are not alone. NAMI DuPage helps people like me to thrive because of the free programs and services that they offer. My older brother, who is diagnosed with schizophrenia, has improved drastically from NAMI's classes, which he attends multiple times a week. I'd like to share a statistic with you. 1 in 5 adults experience a mental illness. NAMI is a nonprofit that serves both individuals with mental illness and their families. We do not receive any state or federal funding, so all of our programs rely on grants, fundraisers, and largely upon private donations. We offer weekly support groups for individuals with mental illness as well as their families. In our recreation groups, we do fun activities like jewelry making or yoga. We have a workplace development program which holds job readiness classes and offers real-life experience in our community center cafe. We educate our community on the importance of mental health. We also have trained peer counselors and a place called the Living Room in our community center, which is an alternative to the ER for mental health crises. There's a lot of other things that NAMI DuPage provides. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to go into it all, but if you see me on your way out, feel free to ask for one of these overviews. On behalf of NAMI, I want to thank you for any donation that you are able to make. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
The morning's offering will now be given and received.
And now it is time for us to extinguish our chalice, but let its flame burn in our hearts as we remember the many and varied ways we share our lives together in this beloved community. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit, and let's sing together hymn number 354 in the gray hymnal. We laugh, we cry. We'll sing verses 1 and 4. Universalist Eric Williams for the closing words today. May you be filled with the blessings of this covenanted community. May you carry them with you as you depart this time. And may you discover the places in the world where these blessings are needed, and then have the courage to share them. May there be an open place within you to receive the blessings of people whom you still meet along the way. So may it be. Now I invite you to turn around and greet one another, especially those you don't know. Let's share the love of this community.